So as an artist, it's not easy to directly communicate with scientists and engineers. We don't have that opportunity. So that was probably one of the reasons why I wanted to come to KAIST. And after joining KAIST, it's really fortunate to have a meeting with Director Park, Professor Park, in the Center of Anthropocene, because it's a quite unique community within the KAIST. It's a group of people with scientists, engineers, and historians, and artists and designers all together.
So I think that the origins of the KAIST Center for Anthropocene Studies can be traced back to the 2014 when the Seoul ferry disaster took place. A number of professors at KAIST got together and then to create a new institute, and I was involved from the perspective of policy and education about the disasters. And then we worked with engineers and scientists and other social scientists, and it was really a rewarding experience for me, but I found it's very difficult sometimes.
Usually there are different languages when people from different disciplines meet, in particular between the sciences and the humanities and the social sciences, and it requires some time to get accustomed to a different language. What I find so fantastic about the Center for Anthropocene Studies at KAIST is the occasion to meet over longer periods of time, to engage in common projects, and to really have the time to learn each other's language and to develop jointly a new language for conversation.
I think the symposium is really, it's interesting, of course, but it's really valuable because it brings together people from different disciplines. I think this is essential. So we've had people from the earth sciences communities, people who are involved in the history of science and the philosophy of science, and people who are artists and who are wanting to reach out to a completely different audience that we can't possibly reach to. So I think this diversity of approach is really important.
What I've learned from my previous experiences with NASA, for example, is that cross-disciplinary and multidisciplinary needs a courage. We have to really need to understand each other, language, and we have to study each other. We have to research about each other. Otherwise, I don't think that the core, really genuine collaboration cannot happen. My lab students, the 5 students, they spent almost a year on this project to study about the contextual meanings of the Anthropocene and historical meaning of it and scientific meanings of it. And I was really proud watching them to grow up together.
I think the Anthropocene is a concept that forces us to look in the past. Where did we come from? How did we enter the Anthropocene? But it very much necessitates to look into the future. And so I think the theme of projecting the Anthropocene binds all these perspectives together, because we have to develop a common perspective of the future, and we have to exchange our different visions of the future. So projecting the Anthropocene is just what we need to do.
Visualization is extremely important. If you look at the IPCC reports, for example, they are full of beautiful diagrams, and they have understood that if you want to reach out to people who are intelligent, people who are not specialists, then the best way to do that is to tell the story visually. If you can utilize images, then this is so much more powerful.
But from the very beginning, I had a thought that because Anthropocene requires some actions and then the drive to change the world. And so it's really, really important to have some kind of program for engagement with the public. What is the best way to engage with the people, and then explaining the meanings of the Anthropocene and the situations that we are encountered. And then I think art plays a very important role, not only from the perspective of visualization of the ideas, but also in communicating at the level of emotion. So emotion brings you an action.
We decided to have a large-scale immersive public projection artwork projecting the Anthropocene. Perfectly fits the concept of the exhibition because we literally, physically projecting our images, our messages to the world. Projection. It's simultaneously physical, it's very conceptual. So we're projecting the future, we're projecting our concept and emotions and images and sounds to the world out there so that we can communicate each other, so that we can make a better future together.
And it's very unusual for the sciences to engage so much with the future and to think of the future not just as a linear extrapolation of the present, but to think of possible different futures. Discuss about the future, and it makes us feel responsible for our future.
My experience with working with artists has so far largely been restricted to the Anthropocene. But because the Anthropocene is something that I think belongs to everybody, including the public, and the public is so interested in the Anthropocene because they can connect with it. They're living through the Anthropocene. So therefore, I think it's really important within the Anthropocene community to reach out to the general public, whatever way we can. Visual approaches and artistic approaches are, they add something that we as scientists just simply cannot produce.
I wanted to get to the core. Instead of touching the surfaces, I wanted to speak to the scientists and engineers directly. I hope me or my lab could have other opportunities here so that we can tackle the other facets of the Anthropocene.
That's why we work with artists, try to have some artistic interpretation of the scientific work. Emotion brings you an action.